Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, I'm told it's National Spicy Guacamole Day.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Spicy guacamole? That's my account name on OnlyFans.
Guacamole is something
that's
I
funny.
would never touch. Never touch guac. Not a guac.
I'm not a guacamole guy. I'm also not an OnlyFans guy. But I think the kids are laughing at that one.
Yeah.
I think that was funny for the kids.
I'm sure
I
it
hope
was.
so. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Aaron Judge and Shohei repeat as MVPs. The Chiefs face a potential must-win in Alabama and Georgia. Try not to get upset. But we begin today with New England winning their 8th game in a row last night as they comfortably beat the woebegone Jets 27-14. Drake May, a potential MVP, completed his first 11 passes. He finished 25 of 34 for 281 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions. The Patriots' 9-2 record is the best in the NFL. Wilbon, how highly do you think of Drake May and the Patriots?
Highly, Tony, highly. I'm not at the top. I don't have them sort of number one in my Wilbon Power rankings just because of strength of schedule. College football, college sports aren't the only place you can have strength of schedule. And by the way, they got a couple of impressive wins against Tampa and Buffalo. So it's not like the Patriots are without. Like, for instance, just by comparison, my Bears are without. They've only beaten bad teams in their 6 wins. The Patriots have 2 impressive wins in their 8. Yeah. So, Tony, I got them up there. There's some NFC teams I have above them. Notably, Detroit, Philadelphia, Seattle, the Rams. I have all 4 of those NFC teams, and we'll get back to those later. As you know, I have them above the Patriots. And I have Jonathan Taylor above Drake May. Through no fault of Drake May's, he's been as good as he can be in the time he needs to be. But so I have them trending upward, but not at the top.
So I watched half the game last night. There's no reason to watch any more than a half when the Jets are playing because they're just not going to be competitive. But I was very impressed with Drake May. He was very calm in the pocket. He didn't throw the ball 100 miles an hour.
Never.
He seemed to float it most of the time, but it always reached the receiver, and the receiver was always open. And look, you look at the Patriots right now, 9-2. They have responded so well to Mike Vrabel. I've got some notes here. They look disciplined. They look prepared. They look like they pay attention in practice and they're able to do something in the game. Mike, they were 8-26 the last 2 years with Bill Belichick and Gerard Mayo. They're 9-2 now. That's Mike Vrabel. They're going to make the playoffs. They're likely going to win their division, right? I mean, what do I got here? I mean, here's what they have left, right? They have one more game with Buffalo. They have one game with Baltimore. Those are hard. But after that, it's pretty much cake. They got Cincinnati, the Giants, the Jets, and the Dolphins. So I got them at least 13-4. They were 4-13 the last 2 years, Mike. It's a stunning turnaround because it's unexpected, as is Indianapolis's turnaround.
Tony, you mentioned there's 2 ways you have to look at both ways. It is cake. And my problem or the issue I have is it's cake. And they've had cake before most of the schedule now.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe, Tone, beat the bad teams. You want to get better, and I believe in that old adage, win first, then you get good. So the Patriots are doing this. They're not the only team in the league doing it, but they're doing it, and we're going to get to a point where they're going to play those better teams, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen then. Yeah. And Vrabel's doing a hell of a job. Let's move to Aaron Judge and Shohei winning back-to-back. Judge edged out Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, for American League MVP, while Shohei won the National League Award unanimously again. It's the 2nd straight year these 2 have been so honored, with Judge now winning 3 MVPs in his career, and Ohtani 4, all unanimously. Tone, this says to you what?
All right, if you want to have a sandwich or something, I'm going to take some time here. Just go ahead and eat. I was watching the reveal of the American League MVP live last night on the MLB Network. They had put up a statistical comparison of Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris in 1961 when Maris broke Ruth's record. Maris had beaten Mantle in home runs and RBI, and Mantle had beaten him in every other statistical category. Maris won the MVP, I think, because the numbers 60 and 61 at that point were incredibly magical. It was the same this year. Raleigh had beaten Judge in home runs and RBI, and Judge had beaten him in everything else. But Judge won this year, and what this actually says to me is that the voters here, the baseball people who vote, are not romantic English literature majors like I was. And they looked at these numbers hard, and they saw Judge's OPS, and they saw how many home runs he had while leading all of baseball in batting average. And they said, we don't see stuff like this all the time, so we're voting for him. Ohtani, as you said, he won unanimously. He's got 4 unanimous. Nobody else ever has more than one. I think what this vote says is to people like you originally who were skeptical of Ohtani, because you talked about Babe Ruth all the time.
I still do.
This is saying Ohtani has put in more time pitching and hitting in the same year than Ruth ever did. And they looked at his numbers and they said, well, what are we talking about here? We've had people on this show, Buster Olney and Tim Kirkchin, and they've said nobody's ever done this in the history of baseball. That would presumably include Babe Ruth. Mike, I know you love the old-time hitters, and you will list Ted Williams and Willie Mays all the time, and so will I. These two are there. These two are all-timers now, Mike.
Now, I'm not an English major either, and I would have voted for Cal Raleigh. Catcher. Because catcher trumps all those other things that Judge did better. Not only do I not have any problem with anybody voting for Judge, I understand it. And it's a worthy vote. That's a worthy discussion.
Yeah.
Raleigh and Judge. One guy catches. That's tremendously harder than anything else that anybody does on a baseball field. Voters and their stats be damned. Now,
well, Mike,
Shohei.
I think it's possible.
What?
I think it's possible with Raleigh. I think that the number 60, when we've seen guys go over 70, isn't as magical anymore. And we saw Judge go over 60 a couple of years ago.
Then if it's not magical, then it doesn't matter anymore. And I'm just looking at Judge and Raleigh and what they did this year. One guy caught.
That's fair.
Just like you talk about one guy pitching. Judge catch.
That's right.
Judge squat behind the plate and take any of those 90 mile per hour crazy breaking pitches that people don't. No. I love Judge. I love him. Not Raleigh's season. It's not. And if I'm looking at Shohei, you can't. There's nothing to say, but you tip the cap. That's all you do.
Let's move to one of the most glamorous NFL games of the weekend, Kansas City at Denver. Denver is 2.5 games ahead of Kansas City in division, and they are 3.5-point underdogs at home, Denver is, for this game. Yesterday on this show, Booger McFarland said Sunday's game against the Broncos is a must-win for the Chiefs. Wilbon, do you agree?
Tony, I'm moving that direction. I'm agreeing more and more. Like early in the week when people started talking about this matchup, or last week since Kansas City had a bye, I thought, okay, this is just exaggeration. They can still get hot. They could win their last 6 games. They could lose this one. And that is still true. But, Tony, they got to climb over a lot of people. And it wouldn't just be Denver, and the division title would sort of be out of play because they still got to deal with the Chargers, right, in their own division. Right. So they're in play. The Steelers could be in play if you have Baltimore winning that division, or Baltimore if you have the Steelers winning the division. Buffalo's in play if you have New England winning division, which I think we both do. So there are a lot of teams in the AFC that all of a sudden are between Kansas City and a spot. And so if it's not an absolute must, it's damn near.
I don't think it's a must game because I don't think it's necessary for Kansas City to win that division. They need to find a path to the playoffs, though.
Yeah.
They need to find how that's going to work. It would be a lot easier if they beat Denver, but as you say, even if they beat Denver, they are still behind the Chargers and Denver in the division. They are an experienced veteran team. It's not going to bother them to go on the road in the playoffs. It's not curtains for them if they go on the road in the playoffs. But let's look at what they got. I think they have to get to 10, Mike. I think they have to get to 10. And I'm going to assume, for the sake of argument, they lose this and they're 5-5. And I never thought the Chiefs would be 5-5. 1-1, 2-2, not 5-5. But here's what they got. Coming up, home Indy, at Dallas, home Houston, home Chargers, at Titans, home Denver, and at Raiders. I think they beat the Raiders. I think they beat Dallas. I think they beat Tennessee. They still need 2 more. So it's got to come from home Houston, home Denver, home Indy, home Chargers. You think they can do it?
Yeah. That's why I'm leaning, Tony. So only 2 of those are homecoming opponents. So 5 of the last 7, they're going to be favored. And you and I are going to sit there on a Friday afternoon and say, the Chiefs are going to get this game. We're going to believe that. But it would be an easier path if they win this game against Denver. But it's so hard to win.
This is okay, but Kansas City's coming off a bye.
Yeah.
Andy Reid's lifetime record coming off a bye is 22-4.
That's great.
And 6-1 with Mahomes. So I do think they're going to win this game.
Denver.
But I don't think it's a must. I don't think it's a must.
At Denver's also hard. It's tough.
Yes. They're a really good team, and we're going to watch. A lot of football this weekend. Let's take a break. Still to come. Seahawks-Rams is the highest profile game of the weekend, but it's Lions-Eagles the more compelling one.
And Alabama and Georgia both take on tough SEC opponents Saturday. Who's more likely to lose? Toss-up next.
Wilbon, what if Shohei had not left the American League and every year he's up against Judge for MVP? Who wins? Who wins?
They split. People get voter fatigue, right?
Oh, so somebody else sneaks in?
Pardon the Interruption is presented by... Welcome back to Pardon the Interruption, presented by Bullet Frontier Whiskey. Part of Happy Hour.
It's time for toss-up. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, finishes the show, then flips on the TV to watch football for the next 54 consecutive hours. What's first?
Toss-up, more intriguing game on Sunday. Seahawks-Rams or Lions-Eagles?
Okay, so we've now dispensed with Kansas City and Denver, and now we have these 2 games, a fabulous slate of games this weekend. I think you and I will agree, Mike, that these 4 teams look like the top 4 teams in the NFC right now.
Yes.
This feels like the short list to me. It's a coin flip to me as to which game is more important, more intriguing, more whatever you want to put in there. But I will say Philadelphia and Detroit because of the drama that's going on with A.J. Brown in Philadelphia and because of the lesser swirl, but a swirl nonetheless in Detroit, where Dan Campbell is now calling plays, and the fact that Detroit has lost 3 games, which is more than I thought they would lose by this point. Philadelphia is the defending Super Bowl champion, so to me, the team that wins this game would ascend to number 1 in the NFC, but the other game is really just as good. It's just as good.
Tony, I'm going to surprise you. And look, I have more personal interest in that game because the Lions and Bears are tied for first place in the division. And there is a scenario in which the Bears could win in Minnesota and Detroit lose in Philly, and the Bears, of all people, wind up in first place alone Monday morning in the division. But that's crazy. I'm going to take the game out west because, Tony, the game out west, not the game in Philly, the game out west has 2 guys higher on the list of MVP candidates, neither replacing Jonathan Taylor for us. But when you look at the quarterbacks in Seattle and Los Angeles and the way they got those teams playing, and the Seahawks, Tony, are so much fun to watch because they are going down the field. Sam Darnold is putting it down there like Terry Bradshaw, a comparison that nobody under 60 in our listening audience understands. 2 OGs like us get it. I'm excited to see that game because it's sort of a throwback, even though it's Seattle in Los Angeles, and who would think they'd be involved in that?
It's more of a throwback to the old AFL than it is to the NFL. Yeah. All right, what's next?
Toss-up, more likely to fall tomorrow. Number 4, Alabama or number 5, Georgia?
I don't think either is likely to fall, but the game says I have to pick one, so I will say Georgia, because I think that Texas is better than Oklahoma this year. I think they beat Oklahoma. Let me get the score here, 23-6 in that Red River game, right? But let me just digress for a moment. These are the exact games we wanted when in 2023 the SEC stole Texas and Oklahoma from what I like to call the Big 8. We wanted to see these. We wanted to see at Georgia, at Alabama, right? I mean, that's what everybody wanted. How do you judge how good the Big 8 was? You take the 2 best teams historically, Texas and Oklahoma, and you put them against Georgia and Alabama, right? This is it. Georgia and Alabama have won 5 of the last 10 national championships. So this is referendum weekend. Buckle up, everybody.
Tony, it is, but they seem like they're sort of intruders to me. They're big-time programs with national championship hardware in the cabinets in their stadiums. I know because I've been there and seen it. But you know what they seem like? Remember when Bob Foster was a lightweight? He was like 191 pounds, and he'd step up,
light heavyweight
and he would
champion.
try to fight like Ali, and you would say, no, this is not that.
No.
That's what this is to me. Texas and Oklahoma, they're punching up in their weight class or attempting to, particularly when they're between the hedges or they're in Tuscaloosa, which is where they are respectively. To answer the question, I think Alabama may be a little bit more pressed by Oklahoma than Georgia by Texas. I'm playing a hunch like you.
Okay.
I'm glad these games are like they're the main events at 3:30 and prime time after I watch Northwestern upset Michigan, shock the world on Big Noon. We're going to get to those SEC games, and I'll be ready.
It's so great. You've mentioned the Bears 5 times, and now Northwestern makes me happy. That's it. Hail to the victor. It's me. Let's take one last break. Still to come. Are the Niners making the right move by starting Brock Purdy over Mac Jones?
And Wemby and the Spurs get a second chance to beat Steph Curry and the Dubs. That's a nice little rematch.
Small pushback. Texas was number 1 at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I didn't believe
they were voted
that.
1 at the beginning of the season.
I didn't believe that.
Okay,
either.
but
and I know you didn't either.
But they were number 1. It's not like they're intruders or interlopers.
Pardon the Interruption is presented by Bullet Frontier Whiskey. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy Hour.
Happy time, people. Happy 54th birthday, Michael Lewis. I hear you. The author, Michael Lewis? No, but like the author, this Michael Lewis was born in New Orleans. This one was nicknamed the Beer Man because he drove a beer truck before making the NFL. This one was first-team All-Pro as a returner in 2002 for the Saints. That year, Lewis set an NFL record for combined kick and punt return yardage with 2,432, including returning 1 punt and 2 kickoffs for touchdowns. He also played some wide receiver with the Saints, catching 28 passes, averaging 19.8 yards per catch there. But the big thing is that Lewis never played high school or college football.
Unbelievable.
He played flag football, indoor football, Arena League, and NFL Europe football, and the Saints signed him. And now he's in their Hall of Fame. But he didn't write Moneyball. The other Michael Lewis did.
Yeah, but I have a picture with this Michael Lewis, not the one who wrote Moneyball. Tony, doesn't that speak to some superior scouting on behalf of the Saints talent department to find him without no tape of college or high school?
Absolutely.
Great job of scouting.
Right. Didn't go to the combine because he didn't play in college.
That's right.
Happy anniversary, Dick Butkus. This is now posthumous, but on this day 54 years ago, the Bears' legendary linebacker was on the field blocking for a Chicago extra point attempt. When the snap went high over the holder Bobby Douglas's head, Douglas gathered the ball, avoided a swarm of Washington defenders, and in true Bears quarterback fashion, heaved a prayer into the left corner of the end zone that Butkus managed to catch. That 1 point was the ultimate difference in a 16-15 win for Chicago. In a career that made him one of the greatest defensive players of all time, Butkus had 2 extra points, 1 safety, and 1 touchdown for 10 offensive points.
Tony, the Sables of NFL films wrote 2 things that I will remember always. The autumn wind is a Raider, and I know you love that. And then the other one was about Dick Butkus saying he authored the most sustained work of devastation ever committed on any field of sport, anywhere, anytime. I knew Dick Butkus, and I was afraid of him. As a grown 80-year-old man, he looked like he could take you out anytime. 51, the best. Wow.
Happy trails to the existing MLS calendar. The American Soccer League has voted to switch to a summer to spring regular season, just like a real big boy league. MLS currently plays from February to November, leaving it at odds with the rest of the international community. This switch is backed by FIFA and will take effect in 2027, which MLS hopes will help it capitalize on increased soccer fervor following the 2026 World Cup in North America. To help fill the switchover gap, MLS will hold a 4-month mini-season from February through May of 2027 with a full MLS Cup at stake.
Tony, I know this excites you the way it aligns now. Everybody will be right out there late August, all the leagues across the world. You can really get your spirit up about this, can't you?
One correction, Texas was never actually in the Big Eight. They were in the Southwest Conference, then the Big 12, but you knew what I meant.
Yes,
Quick
I
to the
did.
big finish.
Let's
We got
do
no
it.
time. 49ers plan to start Brock Purdy at the Cardinals. That makes sense to you?
He's healthy, yes. Jalen Brunson, the Knicks, not so much. Day-to-day with that ankle sprain. Though out tonight against the Heat, your thoughts?
I told you that 2 days ago,
did.
all those stories we talked about, that'd be the most important one. Steph Curry and Under Armour ending their 12-year partnership. Are you surprised?
Not exactly. I've been keeping up with that. It's sort of disheartening, though. It really is. College hoops tomorrow. Number 7 BYU versus number 3 UConn on the men's side. Number 2 South Carolina against number 8 USC on the women's. More intriguing.
BYU, UConn, Juju Watkins not playing this year. Last one, Warriors and Spurs for the second time in 3 days. Will the Warriors win again?
No, I think Wemby and Castle and the boys are out for a little revenge.
We're out of time. We will try to do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Have a great weekend, knuckleheads. And now, your sports.
Mike, PTI's bonus segment.
All right, Wilbon, which is the most intriguing Week 11 NFL game?
Tony, there's so many to choose from. 8 division games. How about that? Tomorrow, on Sunday, 9 if you go back to, the primetime game between the Patriots and Jets. Look, there's some really attractive games. I get started at appetizer time, 1 o'clock in the East with Bears-Vikings, one of those division games. But I ain't even about to tell you that that's going to measure up to the game I value even more than Kansas City at Denver, and that would be Seattle at SoFi against the Rams. I mean, I just think that's the game. I think you've got 2 guys right now who are, to me, at the top of the MVP list. I don't care about the odds and what they say, but when you look at the quarterbacks who are playing with Stafford and Darnold in that game, I think Seattle, they're my number 1 team in the NFC right now, even above Philly. Now, that could change this weekend depending on the results of those 2 games because you have Detroit and Philly. But I'm going with Seattle visiting the Rams.
Okay, so there are 3 games which are at the top of everybody's list. Denver, Kansas City, the Rams and the Seahawks, and Philadelphia and Detroit. I think that the 4 teams that we're talking about in the NFC, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to spend the next 7 or 8 weeks just sort of jostling for position. To me, the only real jeopardy among these games lands on Kansas City. Because if Kansas City were to lose, they go to 5-5, which you and I both think is really almost unthinkable for Kansas City to be 5-5 this late in the season. I don't think they're going to lose because they're coming out of a bye week, and Andy Reid's record all time is 22-4 coming out of a bye, and I think he's 6-1 with Patrick Mahomes. But because they could lose, to me, that takes precedence over all the other games. Yeah, I mean, to me, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what a lineup. What a lineup of games that is. And you can start at, by the way, we didn't even mention the game in Madrid, which we thought might be something weeks and weeks and weeks ago. Not so much now. Commanders, Dolphins. It's like some cashews before we get to the main event.
Is that what you use as an appetizer, cashews? Is that what you use as an appetizer?
I like cashews. Okay, shrimp. Hey, I got to be, what, huh? Shrimp cocktail. All right, is that better for you?
Okay.
Shrimp cocktail.
That's better. It's better than cashews. Come on. Stop it.
We're done. Back to you.